I welcome Mr. Scott Hauge. He is the first Vice Chair of the National Small Business Association. He has been a leading advocate for small and medium-sized businesses. The National Small Business Association is the oldest small business advocacy organization in the United States, representing more than 150,000 small business owners across the country. Welcome.
Chairwoman Velasquez, Ranking Member Graves, and members of the committee, thank you for inviting me here today to be able to speak on the importance of the entrepreneurial development programs of the U.S. Small Business Administration. The committee certainly is focusing on job creation through entrepreneurship at an unfortunately opportune time. The U.S. is in the midst of the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression. Historically, small businesses have led America's resurgence out of periods of economic distress and uncertainty. The Economist recently pointed out Microsoft, Genentech, Gap, and the Limited, just to name a few, were all founded during recessions. Previous small business-led economic recoveries were based less on the sudden expansion of existing small businesses than they were on the creation of millions of new small firms. Suddenly out-of-work employees, many of them laid off from big business, identified a niche they could fill, a product they could provide, or a service they could enhance, and decided to start their own firms. Today's aspiring entrepreneurs are to succeed, they are going to need support and guidance on an array of issues, and the Job Creation Through Entrepreneurship Act of 2009 seeks to improve the counseling, technical assistance, education, and mentoring, outreach, and networking opportunities offered by the federal government through the SBA. The NSBA applauds these efforts. Starting a new business has never been easy, but the task is even more formidable today. This makes entrepreneurial development programs, the Job Creation Through Entrepreneurship Act, would authorize and modernize all the more important. With America's entrepreneurs existent and expiring, suffering through a crippling credit crunch, programs that provide information and technical assistance on the acquisition of capital have never been more important. Even in the best of times, accessing capital is one of the most persistent obstacles facing small business owners. In fact, the small business members of NSBA consistently have identified access to capital as one of the top 10 issues impacting their firms. This perennial problem is worse now given the economic times. According to a nationwide survey of small and medium-sized business owners commissioned in 2008 by NSBA, 55% of small and mid-sized business owners had difficulty securing credit in the previous 6 months, and this finding was consistent across firm size. In the past, small business owners chiefly would obtain capital through three avenues, which at the moment are very difficult: borrowing from themselves, borrowing from friends and family, or borrowing from the bank. Home values are down, stocks are down, very difficult to borrow from themselves. Friends and families are struggling also, same problem. Banks are just not making loans. In addition to tightening their credit standards, hundreds of banks have dropped out of the lending programs offered by the SBA. There's been a very dramatic drop over the last year, the last couple of years, in the number of loans made through the 7A and the 504 program. NSBA commends the inclusion in the bill of many sections focused on providing expiring and existing small business owners with information on how and where to seek capital, improve their financial presentations for lenders, both traditional and non-traditional. NSBA particularly supports the provisions in the bill aimed at coordinating and aligning the various entrepreneurial development programs within the SBA. It is vital that the SBA programs aimed at discrete constituencies complement each other and work in unison. Establishing a portal through which small business owners will be able to access on the main website comprehensive information on all the SBA entrepreneurial development programs is extremely welcome. NSBA welcomes the legislation's provisions pertaining to contracting. Small businesses need those federal dollars to work on, but we also bring something to the table in that we bring new services, we bring entrepreneurism, and we bring competitiveness to the country and the best use of their dollars. Access to capital is always important, but right now is very important, and we think it's clear that the job creation through Entrepreneurship Acts is going to be of great benefit to small businesses. Finally, I would like to touch on a provision in the bill that is close to my heart, specifically the creation of a Green Entrepreneurs Program. Through this critical provision, participating small business development centers will provide education classes and one-on-one instruction in starting a business in the fields of energy efficiency, green technology, and clean technology. This is an overdue but extremely welcome development. NSBA thanks the committee for its introduction of the Jobs Creation through Entrepreneurship Act of 2009 and its efforts to help small business. I'd like to make just one comment that I think shows the way small businesses approach things. Small Business California recently did a survey and asked them would they be in business in 3 years. Even in this very difficult time, 84% saw themselves in business in 3 years. I think that is truly remarkable and shows the optimism and doggedness, if you will, of small business. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.